Have you ever wondered what happens when the justice system completely fails and one victim decides she's no longer willing to wait? Imagine a serial killer who doesn't murder for money, doesn't kill for pleasure, and doesn't even try to hide from the world. Instead, she walks through crowded streets, smiles at strangers, takes care of disabled patients, works at fancy parties, sleeps beside powerful men, then quietly executes them one by one. But here's the terrifying part. The more we learn about her, the harder it becomes to hate her. And the woman hunting her? She's carrying wounds almost as deep as the killer herself. This is Furious, Hulu's gripping psychological crime thriller that flips the traditional serial killer story upside down. Instead of asking, who is the killer, the story begins on Halloween. Children are laughing, parents are chatting, candy bowls are overflowing. Everything feels completely normal. Outside an elegant New York mansion, a young woman wearing a playful cat mask casually hands out Halloween candy to trick-or-treaters. She smiles, jokes with the kids, acts like the perfect neighbor. But inside the house, a man is dying. He's crawling desperately across the floor, barely able to breathe. His fingernails scrape across the hardwood as he drags himself toward the stairs, hoping to escape. For a moment, you think he might actually survive. Then the masked woman calmly walks back inside. No panic, no hesitation. She kneels beside him almost gently. She strokes his face, pulls out a syringe, and injects him with another dose. As the poison spreads through her body, she whispers almost affectionately, "I love your smile." Moments later, he's dead. No screaming, no dramatic confrontation, just silence. Then she sits beside the corpse and casually eats Halloween candy. Right away, Furious tells us something important. This isn't a killer driven by rage in the moment. Every move is controlled, calculated, practiced. She has done this before, and she'll do it again. The next morning, we meet FBI probationary agent Alice Black. If the killer represents vengeance, Alice represents justice, or at least she wants to. Once upon a time, Alice was one of the NYPD's brightest homicide detectives. She was respected, brilliant, fearless. Now, she's answering phones. Instead of chasing killers, she's taking calls from conspiracy theorists who believe the government is spying on them. It's humiliating. You can immediately tell this isn't where she's supposed to be, and neither can she. But why did such a talented detective end up here? At first, nobody says. The answer slowly unfolds throughout these episodes, and it's heartbreaking. Alice's old partner, Detective Danny Kelly, calls her to consult on a suspicious death. Officially, the victim died from a fentanyl overdose. Case closed. Except, Alice notices things nobody else does. Tiny scratches near a bathroom door, bleach covering the crime scene, finger injuries that don't match an overdose, a single glittering sequin hidden in a doorway, one tiny clue, almost invisible, but to Alice, it screams murder. She immediately realizes someone staged this entire scene, and whoever did it knows exactly how police investigations work. Meanwhile, the woman responsible has already disappeared, or at least she appears to have. She steals another woman's identity, checks into a domestic violence shelter, changes her appearance, changes her name, changes her entire personality. This becomes one of the most fascinating parts of Furious. The killer never simply wears disguises. She becomes different people. To one person, she's a frightened abuse survivor. To another, she's a charming waitress. To someone else, she's a lonely young woman searching for love. Every identity feels real. And that's what makes her so dangerous. As Alice investigates, we begin seeing flashes of her private life. She attends her sister's engagement celebration, laughs awkwardly, smiles when expected, pretends everything is fine. But behind closed doors, nothing is fine. One seemingly ordinary moment reveals everything. Alice walks into her bathroom, turns on the shower, and freezes. She can't step inside. Her breathing changes. Panic floods her face. She simply can't do it. The series doesn't explain why. Not yet. But it's clear this isn't fear. It's trauma. The kind that rewires your brain. Suddenly, Alice stops feeling like a television detective. She feels painfully real. While investigators chase clues, the killer has already moved on. She begins researching another wealthy man, a successful attorney named Oliver Charles. He's respected, powerful, well-connected. Exactly the kind of man nobody suspects. She gets herself hired as catering staff for one of his elite parties. Smiles, flirts, makes herself unforgettable. Oliver notices her immediately, just as she planned. What looks like chance is actually months, maybe years of preparation. This isn't random murder. This is hunting. By the end of the first episode, the series quietly establishes its central idea. Alice and the killer have never met, yet somehow they're mirrors of each other. Both carry unbearable trauma. Both have been failed by powerful men. Both are trying to survive. The only difference is what they decided to do afterward. Alice joined the FBI. Catherine declared war. And neither woman realizes their collision course has already begun. By now, Alice Black knows one thing for certain. This isn't a normal homicide investigation. Someone is hunting powerful men, and they're doing it with military-level precision. But the deeper Alice digs, the darker the truth becomes. Because this killer isn't choosing victims at random. She's crossing names off a list. And every murder is connected to something that happened many years ago. After reviewing security footage from the Halloween murder, Alice notices something strange. The mysterious woman never shows her face. She wears a mask, avoids every camera, and somehow leaves almost no forensic evidence behind. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses who can identify her. Almost like she spent her entire life learning how to disappear. But one tiny detail changes everything. A witness remembers seeing a small red poppy tattoo near the woman's waist. For most investigators, it's meaningless. But for Alice, it sparks a memory. Years ago, while she was still an NYPD detective, there was an old police report involving a frightened teenage girl trying to escape an older man named Adrian Morato. That girl had the exact same tattoo. Suddenly, two cases separated by more than 15 years become connected. Alice immediately starts digging into the forgotten Morato case. But there's a problem. Almost every document has disappeared. Reports are incomplete, evidence is missing, and nobody seems interested in reopening it. That alone makes Alice suspicious, because when important evidence disappears, someone usually wanted it gone. To continue her investigation, Alice visits FBI veteran Nora Washington, the head of the Bureau's Sex Crimes Division. Unlike everyone else, Nora immediately understands why Alice is asking questions, because Nora remembers the Morato investigation, and she spent years trying to expose a hidden trafficking network that powerful people kept protecting. She agrees to help Alice, but she also warns her. Once you start pulling on this thread, you may not like what comes loose. Those words become the theme of the entire investigation, because every answer leads to an even bigger secret. Meanwhile, our mysterious killer has already moved on to her next target. Her real name still remains unknown, but using fake identities, she now calls herself Ginny. She checks into a women's shelter, makes new friends, steals supplies, learns routines, and patiently prepares for another murder. Watching her is unsettling, because she never looks angry. She smiles, she jokes, she helps people, yet behind that calm face, she's always planning. Every conversation, every friendship, every kind gesture is part of a much larger strategy. Her next victim is one of New York's most successful lawyers, Oliver Charles. A respected attorney, a wealthy philanthropist, the kind of man everyone admires, or at least that's what the public believes. Catherine gets a temporary job with a catering company. She knows Oliver will be attending an upscale charity event. She waits patiently, blending in with dozens of servers. Then, right on cue, Oliver notices her. He flirts. She flirts back, exactly as she planned. Before the night ends, Oliver invites her home. He believes he's in complete control. He has absolutely no idea he just invited death into his apartment. The following morning, Oliver wakes up completely fascinated by this mysterious young woman. She's charming, quiet, beautiful, different from anyone he's ever met. When she asks to stay the day, he doesn't hesitate. Instead, he even allows her to remain inside his luxury apartment while he goes to work. He thinks she's just another casual fling. But Catherine never came here for romance. She came here to study every inch of his life. His security cameras, his alarm system, his daily routine, his medicine, his schedule, everything. She's turning his own home into a prison. While Oliver is away, she walks through every room. She opens drawers, studies family photos, tests the security cameras, even cleans the apartment completely naked because Oliver requested it before leaving. From his office, Oliver secretly watches her through the cameras, believing he's in control. But in reality, he's the one being watched. He's already become the prey. Later that evening, something unexpected happens. As Oliver gently touches Catherine's side, he notices her tattoo, the red poppy. His smile slowly disappears. For just a second, it looks like he recognizes it. Maybe he's seen it before. Maybe he remembers someone else. For the first time, Catherine panics. She rushes into the bathroom, locks the door, and stays there for hours. This tiny moment tells us something important. No matter how fearless she appears, her past still terrifies her. The next day, she disappears, returning to the women's shelter. There, she manipulates Becky, a kind employee who genuinely cares about her. But Catherine doesn't need kindness. She needs supplies. Bleach, sanitizer, gloves, medical equipment, a disguise. And Becky unknowingly helps her collect everything. Even worse, Catherine secretly blackmails Becky using intimate photos she took without her knowledge. It's cruel, calculated, and heartbreaking, because Becky has no idea she's helping a serial killer prepare for murder. At the same time, Alice continues chasing another clue. She tracks down Officer Tim Baker, the police officer who handled the forgotten Murado case years ago. At first, he claims he barely remembers it. But Nora exposes something shocking. The convenience store where the girl was found stood directly across from a notorious place called the Candlelight Lounge. Officially, it was a massage parlor. Unofficially, it was a hub for child exploitation and trafficking. Even worse, many police officers were regular customers. That revelation changes everything. Because now, Alice realizes this wasn't one criminal. This may have been an entire system protecting powerful men. Later, Alice and Danny visit the Easton family mansion. They're hoping Caleb Easton's family can provide answers. Instead, they find silence. Caleb's sister admits he had struggled with addiction. She said he'd recently met a mysterious woman who made him seem happy again. Obviously, that woman was Catherine. But when Alice begins asking about Caleb's past, especially his connection to Candlelight Lounge, the family's billionaire patriarch, Jay Easton, immediately shuts the interview down. No more questions. No discussion. Leave now. The reaction feels far too defensive, almost as if he's hiding something. Alice notices it instantly, and so do we. As they drive away, Danny finally says something he's been avoiding. Alice smells terrible. Not because she doesn't care, but because she hasn't been able to shower. The audience finally realizes her trauma runs even deeper than expected. Every bathroom reminds her of the abuse she suffered. Even ordinary moments have become impossible. It's one of the most heartbreaking details in the series, because while she's chasing monsters, she's still trying to survive her own. And just when it feels like the investigation is slowing down, everything changes because Catherine finally decides it's time to make her move. She returns to Oliver Charles's apartment. This time, she isn't pretending anymore. Within seconds, she injects him with a powerful paralytic drug. Oliver collapses, unable to move, unable to scream, unable to fight back. Then Catherine calmly looks into his terrified eyes and reveals the truth. They've met before. Many years ago, when she was only 15 years old. Oliver paid money to abuse her. Now, his past has finally come back to collect its debt. And this nightmare is only just beginning. But what happens next changes everything. Catherine finally reveals why Oliver Charles was chosen. Years earlier, when she was only 15, Oliver paid to abuse her. Now he's trapped, helpless, and forced to face the consequences of his past. Then, an unexpected twist. Oliver's teenage daughter, Mira, arrives home. Instead of killing her, Catherine shows compassion. She tells Mira the painful truth about her father before disappearing after destroying every piece of evidence. Meanwhile, Alice uncovers shocking links between Oliver, Caleb Easton, Adrian Morato, and billionaire Jay Easton. They're all connected to the same hidden trafficking ring. The case is no longer about catching a serial killer. It's about exposing a powerful network that has been protected for years. As episode 3 comes to a close, Alice finally realizes Catherine isn't murdering innocent people at random. She's hunting the men who destroyed her childhood. The biggest breakthrough comes when Alice discovers an old photograph showing 2 teenage girls surrounded by powerful men. One is identified as missing victim Isabel Luna. Alice believes the other girl is Catherine herself. Now everything begins to make sense. The murders, the tattoo, the missing evidence, the revenge. But Catherine is already preparing to strike again, while Alice races to stop her before another victim falls. The first 3 episodes leave us with one powerful question. Can justice ever truly exist when the system has already failed its victims?